Welcome back, awesome Action fans and subscribers. So a few days ago I released a video about robotics toys, and I love these. My favorite toy as a kid, despite only having 4 points of articulation. And I said I was adding articulation, working on the custom. So this is going to be an update. Only a little bit's changed. So what I have done, as I said last time, is his legs are going to be too long. So what I've done is I've drilled further and hollowed out more so that double knee joint goes in further. And I've just sculpted some epoxy resin on the front so he can't have his knees being double jointed, and it's the same on both sides. So this side it's still a little bit double jointed, but it's okay. So his legs are slightly shorter now, so to give you an idea of his height, he looks slightly better scaled. And I've used my Joy Toy. He's now going to scale pretty much perfectly. And his legs don't look that long now that I've made them slightly shorter. Still a little bit long. The other thing I've done is I start to fill in with epoxy resin here. Doesn't matter about the seam marks, so that'll be hidden. Need to sand this down so this can close. In the moment it can't close, they're slightly too big. I filled up a little bit of this, need to fill a little bit more here, and I've tied it up inside with some epoxy resin as well. So that's going places. And what I'm quite proud about is the shoulders. So I actually sanded their shoulder joint a lot bigger than I filled the hole in. The reason I sanded it bigger was if I kept it small and used the hole where it was, his shoulder only moved that much before the shoulder sculpt stops against the body. So I've put it bigger hole so the shoulder joint can go higher up. You need quite a big shoulder joint, and that will give him a nice range of motion. And with the shoulder joints, I've had to cut one side, you can see, a lot shorter. This one's shorter than the other, or cut and sand. And then for the here, I drilled this way a little bit, then turned it and drilled down at an angle, diagonal, to go quite long, so it doesn't stick out the side there. Now, what I'm going to need to do here, and this is a tip I've said before. In fact, I'm going to give me 2 seconds. I'll do it now on camera for you, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to show you how to make joints tighter without freezing them up, and they can move with a bit more friction. So back in a second. Okay, to do this, I'm using some PVA glue, craft glue, white glue. They say it's non-toxic. Don't believe it when it's dry and there's some vapor, which is a little bit toxic. Not very toxic, but it's a very safe glue to use this in preschools. I know because I work in a preschool. And all I'm going to do is put just a little bit on my card here. Only a little bit, don't need a lot. And then I'm going to take a toothpick. I need to just cut some other glue off this one first. And I'm using my toothpick to apply the glue. Now what I'm going to do with this glue on my toothpick here is, you can see the hole. I'm just going to go around the outside of the hole. Now if the hole covers up completely, I'm just going to poke through with the other side. And when this dries, PVA glue dries with a very rubbery texture, which means it gives it great friction and grip. So the joint won't come out so easily, number one. And number two, you can see the hole slightly smaller now. So the joint won't come out as easily, number one. And number two, when you move it, it's not going to be very, very loose. It's going to keep its position a lot easier. So there's one. Let's do the other one. This one I had to build up the shoulder because I cut a little bit off when I was drilling in. Let's do number two. Oh, that looks really good. It's just a little bit more down here. Okay, and that one is done as well. So they both got just a little bit of PVA glue. You can actually see that this one's actually got a much smaller hole than this one now because the glue has made a better bond around the sides. Let me just top this one up a bit more. Doesn't matter if the hole becomes smaller than the peg because the glue will move because it's quite rubbery and the peg will fit in. In fact, it's a little bit advantageous if it's a touch smaller. Okay, now I'll leave that to dry. That's going to take probably 20 minutes to half an hour to dry, depending on how much you put on, how thin it is, and also the temperature and the room, the environment, etc. But when that's dry, these will fit in and be quite tight. And then what I will be doing next is I will be sanding these down so it can close. When it can close, I will be doing the holes for these long parts of the shoulder pegs to fit in, and then hollowing out so the peg can, the ball part can fit in a little bit. So you don't have these big balls sticking out. They're going to be sort of half exposed or maybe 3/4 exposed. And that's going to give him some really nice articulation on his shoulders. Very, very nice indeed. When that's done, after that's done, head articulation is too difficult on this one. Not too difficult, it's just too difficult to make nice because of this sculpting. He's got these parts here on his chin and whatnot. So this one would be really easy for head articulation, really easy. This one though, waist articulation, no, because the backpack is in the way, and even though I could cut around and join up, you can get a turn because the backpack will be there, and I want to keep the backpack so they can fit in their the backpacks they come with and whatnot, you know. So he won't have any waist articulation or head articulation, but he's going to have he's going to have hips, thigh, knee, ankle, shoulder, bicep, and that's going to be enough, and a huge improvement over the original. The other thing I'm considering still with the knees, if he's still looking too tall, is either I can cut this white part off completely and then put this into that part, and that'll make him a bit shorter. Still taller than the original, but shorter by about maybe, 5mm, 6mm. Or I could change this to a single ball joint, but I prefer the double knee joint. I'm also tempted to build the boot up and the trouser up around a little bit, coming down on the trouser, the pants part, and up on the boots part to cover some of that big gap. But I don't want to lose the articulation, so maybe I'll do that, maybe not. I might just do this first and see how he looks and decide from there. So I'm not going to put the hip joints on just yet because I need to do some more sanding still even. But you know, he's going to be slightly shorter than Fusion. His legs are going to be about the same length. Body's going to be a bit shorter. Yeah. Maybe I will do something else, but it's still looking a bit too long. But we'll see. If I don't like it, next time I'll do the next one and make him slightly shorter. But I think it's going particularly well. Particularly shoulders, I really like these. Okay, this is Awesome Action Toys. I'm signing out saying please like, share and subscribe. I'll be back soon with more Awesome Action Toy videos for you. Stay happy, keep collecting, and check out the rest of my content because there's loads of 1/18 scale, few 112, few 128, etc. on the channel. Bye-bye.